How many of you are familiar with sugar alcohols? Okay, well, they're now, instead of putting sugar in foods and candies, they're putting sugar alcohols. And all the manufacturers of sugar alcohols have said, oh, sugar alcohols aren't fattening. They don't go in the fat cell. Wrong. How many of you ever envisioned that sugar alcohols could go directly into the fat cells and make you fatter? No, because science says it can't. When we finished our clinical study, which is going to be published in a major medical journal, the scientific community stood on its head because we've always thought that sugar alcohols can't make you fat. And we now know that they can, because some of those candies that had 1 gram of sugar and 1 gram of fat went right into the fat cells. And what we learned from this amazing clinical study is even if you take all of the sugar and the fat out of a food, it can still go into the fat cell and make you fatter, which is amazing. And the one factor that controlled that was, you'll never believe what, how much body fat you had on your body. So now what we know from this year's past study is the food that you eat, even if it's a sugar alcohol, 1 gram of sugar, 1 gram of carb, if you have a large amount of body fat, it shunts into the fat cell automatically, whether it's programmed to or not. And that's an anthropological speciation technique. So now, oh, these food scientists who think they're so brilliant are creating these foods with no fat and no sugar. Guess what? It doesn't matter. It went in the fat cell anyway. And the higher the BMI was, which is the amount of adipose tissue fat you have in your body, the more the food went into the fat cell, and it sat right there and it didn't budge. Now, what are we going to do with this research? Well, would we take it over to Synergy and use it to create new products for you? You better believe it. Now, we did a little contract with Hershey Foods. They're quite big, as you know. And the contract said, you can't use this research and data, only we can. And the only place we're going to use it is at Synergy Worldwide. So let's see the other companies keep up with that. They'll be like, how'd they do that? During this past year, there have been literally hundreds of new clinical studies on arginine. Because since the Nobel Prize was won in medicine for the discovery of nitric oxide and arginine, the medical community has gone crazy trying to create new arginine products and conduct new clinical arginine research. So they have spent millions and millions and millions of dollars, thank you very much, on arginine studies. Now, this is very good for us because what they found out about arginine is it's very dangerous. That doesn't sound too good, does it? Y'all don't look too happy about that, like what? What she said? No, this is a very good thing. 7 new clinical studies, double-blind clinical studies, we don't mess with those are hardcore, have said that arginine is extremely dangerous. You might be thinking, why is that good? What they found out about arginine is that it has a few little side effects. It renders males infertile. Can that be good? Now, don't hand me that birth control thing because I don't want to hear that. No, we can't use it for birth control. What the clinical studies discovered was that arginine, regular arginine, kills sperm. It kills the motility of sperm and it kills your sperm count. And it can render a male infertile. That's not a very good speciation technique. If all males are fertile, we don't procreate the species and all left is women. And I will kill myself personally because I love men. Y'all are so logical, I have to say. That was the first thing they found out. Now, what did I do? I took those 7 clinical studies and I faxed them over to Dr. Pfeiffer. And I said, get a load of this. It kills sperm. Interesting. Then they did a slew of double-blind clinical studies showing that arginine does worse things than that. It actually creates free radical brain damage. That's not a good thing either. And number 3, they found out that it replicates the herpes simplex virus, causing you to have lovely mouth sores and genital sores, which will make you so attractive. But worse than that is that it can actually replicate the HIV/AIDS virus. So it wasn't just the herpes virus. They now think it can replicate other viruses like retroviruses, which will kill you. Now you're saying to yourself, why is she telling all these horrible stories about arginine when she obviously has an arginine product? Because guess what else they found? That pro-arginine is the only arginine in the face of the earth that doesn't cause these side effects. Now, we will validate this in the arginine PDR that I'm currently writing, and I had really not wanted to write this book. It's up to 400 pages now. And it will have thousands of clinical references and physician reports in the back. For those of you that didn't come to the lecture on Wednesday, the educational and training lecture for physicians, I'm starting an Arginine Medical Advisory Board for Synergy. And they will be Synergy people who are MDs and physicians and surgeons and clinicians who will be on this advisory board. And they will be the first to get the research as soon as I get it, and they will be able to disseminate it to you. Now, no one has ever done this, but I think it's a darn good idea. And when I lectured in Japan, in Tokyo and Osaka, and let me say this right, Fukuoka. Yeah, they made me practice that for 2 hours. Say it right. Fukuoka. Lovely, lovely people. Hundreds of physicians came to hear me speak. So we're starting a medical advisory board for arginine in Japan, in Taiwan, and Malaysia, and every country that Synergy is in. We will be the best educated nutraceutical company in the world. We will have irrefutable clinical evidence, and there will be no arguing with it. It will not be conjecture or opinion. It will be hardcore clinical science. So though you've heard me lecture and you've listened to my CDs, you need more backup for what you're saying, right? So I sat down with my husband and I said, okay, I've never wanted to reveal my 20 years of research because of my competitors. They'll copy it. So what we did was we wrote 400 pages of my clinical research and referencing thousands of clinical studies and put it into a textbook for you called the Arginine PDR, the Arginine Revolution, Key Code to Anti-Aging. And it will be available to you in about 30 days. Our biggest challenge with the book was, well, if I tell everybody how to make the product and how we get the side effects out, they'll just copy us. How can we do that? How can I disseminate the information without giving away the proprietary parts? And my husband reminded me of my crazy old aunt, who one time said to him, now she's from Charleston, honey, okay? And she one time said to Jeff, honey, see those maids in the kitchen? And he said, well, yes, ma'am. She said, we got to pay them now. South, get it? The South? Okay. It'll come to you tonight and you'll go, oh my God, that was a good one. But he reminded of my Aunt Eleanor.